Ukraine welcomes U.S. oil sanctions. EU prepares major decision on frozen Russian assets. Washington has dealt a blow to Moscow by imposing sanctions on two Russian oil giants, Rosneft and Lukoil, just ahead of crucial EU talks on using frozen Russian assets to support Ukraine. Speaking after the move, Ukraine's ambassador to the U.S. stressed peace can only be achieved through strength. This is the first time the Trump administration has imposed direct financial measures on the Kremlin since Russia launched the war. The decision came shortly after President Trump announced an indefinite postponement of his meeting with Vladimir Putin. Meanwhile, Russia continued to launch attacks on Ukraine overnight, killing many civilians in Kiev and Kharkiv. Extremely serious sanctions, President Trump affirmed. These are very big, very serious sanctions. We hope it doesn't last long, because we want the war to end. Russia needs to respect the long-standing boundaries and back down. He added that talks with Putin have always been good, but never go anywhere. That's the nature of war. You can't predict anything. But it's time to reach a deal, because too many people are dying. EU plans to borrow $160 billion from frozen Russian assets. In Brussels, EU leaders headed into a two-day summit with the aim of providing more than $160 billion to Ukraine, financed by frozen Russian assets. The idea was proposed by EU Foreign Affairs Commissioner Kaja Kallas, who said, European taxpayers should not pay for damage they did not cause. Russia must be held accountable for what it did in Ukraine. Ms. Kallas also asserted, we will not return assets to Russia until they fully compensate Ukraine. And Ukraine needs them now. Debate on Trump's role and the 12-point peace plan. When asked about Donald Trump's supposed 12-point peace plan, Ms. Kallas said, these proposals have been put forward by Europe for a long time, from returning forced children to war reparations and ensuring Ukraine's territorial integrity. The core issue is how to get Russia to the table in good faith. She also responded to Mr. Trump's claim that Europe is funding a war against itself by buying energy from Russia. We have cut our oil and gas imports from Russia by 80%. But it is true that some countries continue to buy, including close friends of Mr. Trump. Zelensky arrives in Brussels. The heart of Europe, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, has arrived in Brussels for the summit. He is expected to push for further pledges of support, especially after his recent unsuccessful meeting with Mr. Trump over Tomahawk cruise missiles. A reporter reporting live from Brussels said, the focus of today's meeting is definitely Ukraine. The EU has always been Kiev's biggest political and financial support, a Europe that shares responsibility, a more assertive Washington, and a Kiev that is still struggling, waiting for peace through strength.